Yep, I just had it nice and good.
The meeting of the South Hunterdon Regional Board of Education is called to order. Adequate notice, as required by the Open Public Meetings Act, was provided on December the 6th, 2023 by posting the notice with the respective clerks of the city of Lambertville, Borough of Stockton, and Township of West Amwell, and advertised in the Hunterdon County Democrat and the Trenton Times newspaper. Please stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mr. Harrison.
Martha Dennis.
Here.
Steve Machete.
Here.
Brian Keys. Here. Kevin Podolsky.
Here.
Michael Stroud.
Here.
Megan Warner. Ronnie Cavalino.
Here.
Jim Gallagher.
Present. For those of you who don't have a seat, we are going to have two presentations first, and after which I'm sure some of the folks that are here will be leaving, so there will be seats available in a moment. One of those is our International Day presentation by our LPS students. The other is on the South Hunterdon musical. We're going to have treated to a pre-performance. But before we do, one item of housekeeping. We did receive this month a resignation letter from one of our board members, Tracy Patulli. So she is stepping down for personal reasons. And so with regret, because Tracy was a committed and very dedicated board member, and we appreciated having her, but with regret, we will be voting this evening to accept her resignation. So I'll need a motion to accept that resignation. Thank you, Mrs. Todd Marino. And a second? A second by Martha. Thank you very much. Any discussion on the motion? With that, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so that motion carries. So that brings us to International Day, Mr. Chuzo.
Yeah, so we'll turn off my share there so everyone at home can see. We're excited for International Day. We have students here from LPS, and I'm going to introduce two of our staff members who are going to kind of give you some background and share our students with you. So I have Mrs. Romanowski and Mrs. Silverman. They're all yours.
On Wednesday, February 21st, Lambertville Public Schools' third grade class hosted International Day, an exciting and culturally rich event celebrating diversity. It served as a joyful celebration of the world's cultures, fostering curiosity, respect, and open-mindedness. Leading up to our International Day event, the students worked hard to research and create books all about country of study, and created Lego people wearing traditional clothes. Here are some examples. We all created country research books. We all created Lego people dressed in traditional clothes. We created Mexican flowers as centerpieces. Now, a couple of our students are going to present information from their country research and our International Day celebration. Hello, I am Jillian. I study the country of Germany. The capital of Germany is Berlin. Did you know that Neuschwanstein is a castle in southern Germany and was the inspiration for Disney's Sleeping Beauty castle? Germany is known for their soft pretzels. Parents and students tasted pretzels I made during International.
Konnichiwa, I am Jamie. I studied the country of Japan. The capital of Japan is Tokyo. Did you know that Japan has the biggest city in the world? It's Tokyo. Japan is known for an art of paper folding known as origami. Here's an example.
Olá, I'm Mabel. I studied the country of Brazil. The capital of Brazil is Brasilia. Did you know the Amazon River carries more water than any other river on Earth? Brazil is known for their passion of football, soccer, and has won the World Cup 5 times. Here's a picture of the famous Brazilian soccer team. I'm Kylie. I study the country of Ireland. The capital of Ireland is Dublin. Did you know that Waterford crystal is a famous Irish product? Irish artists have been making this beautiful glassware by hand for more than 200 years. Here's a Waterford crystal. Ireland is known for the sport hurling. In this sport, they use a hurley stick to pass the ball. Here's an actual hurley stick. Namaste. I'm Fiona. I studied the country of India. The capital of India is New Delhi. Did you know that India is the only country in the world that has both lions and tigers in the wild? India is known for henna, which is an art form made of plant dye. Here's an example of what henna looks like. Hello, I am Ben. I studied the country of Switzerland. The capital of Switzerland is Bern. Did you know that Switzerland is known for chocolate? An average person consumes about 22 pounds of chocolate a year. Switzerland is known for watches and chocolate. Hello, I'm Elise. I studied the country of Dominica. The capital of Dominica is Rosella. Did you know that Dominica is definitely not Dominican Republic and has the second largest born lake in the world? Dominica is known for the folk dance known as the ballet. I'm going to share a little dance with you. Cześć, I'm Tessa. I studied the country of Poland. The capital of Poland is Warsaw. Did you know Polish workers dig salt out of deep underground caves? Salt mining has been around for 900 years. Poland is known for Polish wycinki, which means cutouts. Here's an example I made.
It was International Day was a great success, and we hope to do it again next year. So thank you to all of our third.
Thank you again, Mrs. Romanowski, Mrs. Silverman, and Mr. Mears. Awesome job, students. All student led too, which I love.
Stage left and stage right entrance, everybody who walks in behind. So you can start right here, and gangsters 1 and 2 come down stage where you actually enter. This is down stage. I am down stage, that's up stage. Here we go.
a little smaller than what we're working with in the auditorium. Thank you all so much. So this is a preview performance of our annual musical, The Drowsy Chaperone. We have students in grades 7 through 12. We will be performing this weekend, one weekend only, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. right here in our high school auditorium. This is our first night with costumes, so we're getting really excited. So this will be a short preview at the end of Act 1, and I just want to say, as someone who was at International Day on Wednesday, I am so overjoyed that tonight's meeting is starting with a focus on what is most important in our district, which is our students and the wonderful learning experiences that we're able to give them. So thank you for being here to share that tonight. And without further ado, are we ready, Miss Allen? All set? We give you Toledo Surprise.
See that the wedding is proceeding according to schedule.
Now it's time to receive your just desserts. You say, partner, should we whip up something special for Mr. Feldzig?
Yeah, how about a Toledo surprise?
An inspired choice. Toledo surprise, I've never heard of that. No, you haven't. Because generally, people who have heard of it are never heard from again.
We'll share the recipe with you.
First, you chop the nuts.
Then you pound the dough.
Then you bake it up nice and slow.
And then you got your Toledo. Toledo surprise.
Could you run that by me again?
It's a very simple recipe, Mr. Felty.
First, you chop the nuts.
Then you pound the dough.
And then bake it up nice and slow.
And then you got your Toledo. Toledo surprise.
Say, why don't we give him a little taste?
All right.
Hold it! What style? What grace? Open your fists. Now shake them. Give me that recipe one more time. Da 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 da.
Bake it up nice and slow. Then you got a Toledo. Toledo surprise. Get the peach. It'll be good. Push it up. Throw it in. That's a tasty Toledo. Toledo surprise.
Yeah, you're cooking.
You're sweet enough. When you need enough. Never try to rise. Don't let it hit the snap. Try to whip your whites. Split your yolks. Then you got a Toledo. Toledo surprise. Toledo surprise.
You put the gangsters in the act, you won't put me in. It's for you. And these boys are the projector. Sugar, yum, yum. Hey. Makes the boss
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Adolfo, he has an announcement. Wedding is off.
What? For the love of God, why?
Adolfo has made love to the bride.
You idiot, that's the chaperone.
What?
The wedding is on. The wedding is off. Oh, what? Robert kissed a French girl. Her name is Lee. She's very beautiful.
I didn't mean it, Janet. She was just like you, only French.
Mother of pearl.
Yes, madam.
What is all this commotion about?
It's about the wedding, madam.
Oh, the wedding. Not anymore. Oh, what a tragedy. What a wonderful, wonderful tragedy. Clear the floor, boys. I'll show you how it's done. First, you sweep it up. Then heat it up. When you heat it up, if it tries to rise, don't let it break it up. Sweep it up. Fill it up. Heat it up. That's a tasty jump. Toledo surprise. Surprise. Surprise.
Wait until it's ready.
Surprise. Wait until it's ready.
Get ready. You got it.
You makes me twitch, you makes me shake. Take the cane, flip me like a torpedo. Till we get the prize. Need a surprise.
Surprise! 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 Chopping up, pound it down, take it up, make some fun. You gotta tell me now, don't leave a surprise. And you gotta tell me, and you gotta tell me, and you gotta tell me, and you gotta tell me. Record it out, tell me, and you gotta tell me, and you gotta tell me, and you gotta tell me. Surprise! Wait until it's ready. Wait until it's ready. That's the taste to tell me I'm surprised.
Thank you so much. We hope that we will see you Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. To finish off the rest of that. Now let's take one more bow, please. Thank you.
Awesome job, students. Awesome job, Mrs. Krim and crew. Tickets are still on sale. We sent out information today. It was posted on social media. Make sure you buy your tickets. Thank you so much.
Like an intermission.
Okay. So we have already, I see that Ms. Patchouli, I did not see her in the audience earlier. We sadly and with great regret accepted your resignation. But you will be missed, in your service. Nearly 6 years was greatly appreciated here. I know for my part, it was always a pleasure working with you. So, that said, for those of you who are from West Amwell, we do have a vacancy on the board. We are looking for someone from West Amwell. We just need to submit your resume or a letter stating your interest. And there is information about how to do that on the website. Mr.
Behind
Behind me, there you go. All right, my eyes are shut. Says qualifying applicants should send a resume with cover letter by March the 15th, 2024 to Mr. Harris, who is the board secretary here, and we will have interviews for that probably before our March meeting. Hopefully fill that seat. With that, we will move on to our updates of our associations. We'll start with the LAEF. Is there anybody here who wants to give an LAEF update? No? PTO? Okay, perfect.
Great.
Nicole had to leave. Jessica Hardigan, West Amwell, PTO. I'm going to start with LPS. The PTA's next meeting is March 12th at 5 p.m. in the all-purpose room at LPS on location. They're going to start planning their annual walkathon, which is their biggest fundraiser, which is something I really look forward to continuing when we move on with the district parent organization. Their field day will take place on May 30th at Briarwood Day Camp. And they'd like to thank the Hibernia Fire Company for their generous contribution to make the event possible. They gifted LPS and West Amwell $4,000 each, which was really huge. They had a bunch of income come in from the sale of their building, and they've been very, very generous to the community. They've donated a lot of money to Ramblers, to us. So a big thank you to them and their generosity. The sixth grade would like to thank everyone who supported their fundraiser at the Acme and Arcade yesterday. It was apparently a great local event, and they got a lot of donations from local businesses. And that's all for that. And then for us, our next Kids Night Out is Friday, March 8th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. in the multipurpose room at West Amwell. We took a little bit of a break last month because they had one here, and my kids loved it. They loved hanging out with the high school kids. They thought it was great. So ours is back. So if anyone wants to do that, the form will be up and running tomorrow. Our book fair starts March 11th and ends March 14th with family night on the 14th. If anyone would like to join the book fair committee, please feel free to reach out to me directly or the PTO email. More information on e-wallet and family night will be going out to families at the end of the week. Please be on the lookout for a sign-up genius to volunteer at the book fair. And then each year, I don't know if anyone knows this, but the PTO uses scholastic dollars to help fund the West Amwell Library. In recent years, we've been banking our dollars since the referendum, and we plan to give them to the middle school library. So the middle school librarian will be able to purchase anything in the scholastic catalog. I think we have like almost $3,000, a little over that. So they're going to get a great deal of money. They'll have this year's and next year's from the book fair. And then during RAC week, the PTO, along with Mrs. Duran, organized a breakfast, snack day, and lunch at West Amwell for staff members. So thank you to everyone who donated items for the breakfast and snack day. Lunch was bought by the PTO from Chive for all staff members at West Amwell. The PTO and PTA also organized a RAC week snack day for middle school and high school staff members. And all of the items were donated by middle school and high school parents and the PTO and PTA. So I hope everyone at the high school enjoyed that. And middle school. Our talent show is coming up March 21st. And we're also adding an art show this year, which is really exciting. We're very excited. Each student's art will be represented. So Mrs. Johnson will be working hard with the students to create ice cream themed works of art. They'll all be on display. So as people are taking a break, they can walk through the hallways and see all the kids' art. And then lastly is the PTO and PTA have been communicating a great deal about the new district parent organization. We're working hard to ensure all beloved events and traditions are carried on as we move forward and merge our schools' traditions. We have made the decision, the PTO board and the PTA board has made the decision to dissolve the LPS PTA. We've spoken to a tax attorney, the IRS, and the state of New Jersey, and we're going to ensure that the transition is smooth for everyone. And the PTA has a little bit different restrictions than we do. So our funding will go out to a member vote, and members will vote at the end of this year to decide where our funds will lie. And we're planning on forming a committee and having a meeting at the beginning of March. So look out for an email for that. And I encourage anyone who wants to attend to do so. It is important. We do a lot of community work, and we want to make sure that everyone feels represented. So thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Okay. Next, Stella Reed will give our report, our student representative for the board.
Cool. So the high school boys and girls basketball teams are entering their second round of playoffs this season, with both games taking place tomorrow. Festival of the Arts took place in January with performances by student musical groups such as the high school jazz band and multimedia displays of artwork from across the student body. The drama class held a Valentine's Day fair this past month with activities such as card making, giving students the opportunity to spread Valentine's joy in school. The South Hunterdon Performing Arts programs are preparing for the Tricky Tray auction that will be held mid-March as a fundraising event. The Ping Pong Club has started off for the second half of the year. And Night at the Nest will take place on Friday, March 8th and Saturday, March 9th, and rehearsals are in full swing.
Good, thank you very much.
Any questions for Stella?
You need to go get homework or Night at the Nest practice, go right ahead. And thank you very much for being here. With that, correspondence, we had none last
Other
month.
than the resignation.
What's that, other than the resignation, no correspondence.
Which is on-
last month. So with that, we move to approval of minutes. So I'm gonna do this in two motions. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our January meetings. We had two, which is items A through E on the agenda. Ronnie, thank you very much. Second, please. Second by Michael, thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the second is item F, which is minutes from a executive session meeting from September the 18th. During an audit of paperwork, we realized that while the minutes have been created, they had never actually been approved in a meeting, so we do need to do that formally to make them official. So I will need, and the reason I do two motions is only because several people who are on the board now were not in that meeting, and they may wish to abstain, although they are not required to do so. With that, I need a resolution to approve the executive minutes from September the 18th. Ronnie, thank you. Second, please. Second by Brian. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. With that, I'm sorry? Oh, abstentions.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have two abstentions. With that, we move to the superintendent.
Thank you, Jim. So a few things I wanted to update everyone on this evening. The first, I'm going to talk a little bit just to reinforce what I shared at our last meeting and also what I had shared with the community about our reconfiguration plan for next year. And then also talk a little bit about the calendar for the end of the year. Obviously, there's been some challenges with snow days and kind of where things land with graduation and sixth grade promotions. And then I want to give a construction update as well on our two projects. So what I wanted to share first is just to remind everyone the plan that we had shared last month, that as of September of 24, all K-4 students who live in Lambertville, Stockton, or West Anwell will attend the South Hunterdon Regional Elementary School. All 5th and 6th grade students who live in Lambertville, Stockton, or West Anwell will attend the West Anwell School. Obviously, for the first two bullets, for bullet one, our elementary school has been under construction since last June and is right on target. If anything's a little bit ahead of schedule. So we're making great progress and we expect that to be done in June of 24. And our middle school is behind progress. So obviously that will not be ready for September of 24. Students in grades 7 through 12 who live in Lambertville, Stockton, or West Anwell will attend the middle high school. So the same configuration that we've used in the past will continue for next year. And then for preschool students, there will be 2 classes, one at the South Hunterdon Regional Elementary School and 3 classes at the West Anwell School. And I'll talk a little bit more in specifics about preschool and preschool expansion aid. So just a little bit about back history on preschool expansion aid. So the state of New Jersey specifically and the Department of Education have had it as a mission for several years to provide universal preschool to all students in the state of New Jersey. So that means for 3- and 4-year-old students, rather than to have to pay at a private facility or not be able to pay at all and they can't afford it, so they don't attend preschool. The goal was for all New Jersey school districts to have a preschool program that would be free for parents. And obviously from the educational side, the sooner we can get students in the district with a universal curriculum rather than different curriculums that may be private preschool facilities, the better off it's going to be educationally for our students and for the district. So with that, the state has a maximum of 15 students per preschool classroom. And the state did a calculation for each individual district, what's called a universe. So looking at demographics, the state predicted that you would basically have a certain number of sections that you would have to run to eventually meet the needs of all the students who live in your community. So for South Hunterdon specifically, that was 6 classes. So several years ago, we were running 2 preschool classes at LPS that parents had to pay for. And now what the state is saying is in order to be able to service all of the students that live within your 3 municipalities, it looks as though you would need to run 6 preschool classrooms, each with 15 students. So we are currently in year 3 of the preschool expansion aid process. We did jump on the grant pretty quickly for a lot of different reasons, especially because of the educational value for our students and the financial burden for our parents. In 2021-22, as I mentioned before, we were running 2 preschool classes at LPS in which our parents had to pay. We were notified in December of that year that we were awarded the expansion aid for 21-22, and we received the money for the 21-22 school year in February of 2022. And we were able to, and our parents are very excited about this, reimburse all of our parents all the money they had paid from September up until February for preschool. And then for the remainder of the year, it would be free. But as part of the expansion process, we had to build out capacity to say, we're not going to be able to do all 6 classes in year 1. What we're going to have to do is build a plan out over the next several years. And our goal was to expand by 1 class. So we went from in 21-22, 2 classes to 22-23, 3 classes of 15. And then this year, 23-24, we have 4 classes of 15. And then our goal for next year, 24-25, is to have 5 classes. So for September of 24, we will have 75 preschool students in our district, and the possibility of the following year, 90 students, depending upon how our universe plays out. And we're still kind of working through those numbers. Some of you may have seen in the last couple of months, we put out a preschool interest survey just to get an idea from parents who are interested, and then we'll have a better handle on our numbers. So I put question marks next to the 6 classes, just because we need to see how that kind of plays out. In 2023-24, we will receive $956,008 for preschool expansion from the New Jersey Department of Education. And with that preschool expansion aid, we pay for all the teachers and paraprofessional salaries and health benefits related to the preschool program. We are required to have what's called a preschool instructional coach, or a PIC as an acronym. We are also required to have a preschool intervention referral specialist, or a PERS. We pay for both of those salaries and benefits out of the preschool expansion aid. And then we have curriculum and classroom materials, training, furniture, and any playground that we may need. So all of that is paid out through that preschool expansion aid. We anticipate for 24-25, and we have not received these numbers yet, that we will probably be getting close to $1 million from the state of New Jersey as we expand to our 5th section of preschool next year. As far as facility options in reference to the state, we have the option to use existing facilities, or you have the option to partner with local preschools in our communities for additional space. We decided this year, when we were running 4 sections of preschool, that we were going to run three sections at the St. John School, our alternate site this year. And then for our 4th, we were going to partner with Happy Time and rent space from them. And in doing so, by the end of the year, we will pay them $42,750 in rent for using that space. And again, that comes from our preschool expansion aid funds. Now, we're not alone in this. This is happening across all school districts in the state of New Jersey. I will say that we were one of the early ones that kind of jumped on, and now other districts, some have started in January, have been really forced to start in January, and then to figure out moving forward what their plan is going to be. And obviously there's some districts around us that are much bigger and are looking at, 20, 25, 30 preschool classrooms based on the number of students in their district. Now, with that, there's options, as I mentioned, partner with preschools in the community. And when you do that, you have 1 of 2 options. You can rent space and run the program, meaning you hire the teacher, you hire the paraprofessional, you oversee and control the program, or you can just turn the program over to that facility and they run it. And obviously you would have to provide them funding out of this expansion aid for them to be able to do it. We made the choice for Happy Time that we would hire the staff, that we would hire everyone who was involved with the program, and we would oversee it. And the reason we did that is we wanted to make sure the consistency of education that our preschool students were getting at our other site was at the St. John School. After looking at that and kind of weighing our options, we decided for 24-25 that we're going to have 2 preschool classes at our new elementary school, and we're going to run 3 classes at the West Amwell School. And the reason that we decided that is, after going through the experience, Happy Time was an excellent partner with us, but there are some challenges that we experience when you're not inside the district, right? Students and the teacher and the other individuals that kind of work in that program can sometimes feel isolated because they're not within the district for, district activities. They're off-site. We also were concerned because we wanted to make sure that our students that are in the preschool program are all having the same experience. And what I mean by that is we expose our students to the specials, things like art and music and Spanish, which a lot of other programs don't do. And I think that's a huge advantage for our students to be able to do that. That can get more challenging when you're off-site, or if you're relying on another facility, if you're simply turning over the program to them in order to be able to make sure that that happens and they have the staff for that to happen. As far as the plan beyond next year, we don't know what that's going to be. First, we're going to have to see exactly where our universe lands and whether 5 classes is going to be it, or we are going to need to add a 6th class, which we should have a better idea by the end of this year. And then we're going to have discussions on what that looks like, of whether we would try to partner with other folks for more additional space. We did try to partner with the Lambertville Academy, but unfortunately there are space requirements that you have to have per classroom size. And unfortunately, they didn't have those accommodations, so they would not be able to be a partner for us in this process. So there'll continue to be discussions, at the board level. I think right now our major focus is next year, because next year has a lot of moving parts with the reconfiguration, and then also, 5, 6, and 3 preschool classes at West Amwell, and, following the progress that we make with our 5-8 construction. But I wanted to give a little bit of background and for you to have an understanding of where the money's coming from, and the fact that this preschool expansion over the last 3 years has been fully funded by the Department of Education, and will continue to do so moving forward until we meet our universe. All right. Just a few things with district calendar. So that we've had 3 snow days. Unfortunately, which I'm sure no one's happy about, but our last day of school is now bumped from Monday, June 17th, 2024. So after, a bunch of different discussions, we intend on right now keeping high school graduation on Friday, June 14th, and we are moving it to 2 p.m. In the past, we've been having it at 1 p.m., but we did get some feedback from parents who have students graduating that have siblings at our elementary schools, and it's a little tight trying to get them over here by 1 o'clock with their dismissal at 12:50. So we bumped it back an hour to allow a little bit more time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring our seniors back in, and all of our students. On the last day of school, it will be a half day. We will have a senior breakfast, a nice senior breakfast for them, one last chance to kind of get together, sign yearbooks, and then we will give them their actual diploma on that morning for them to go along their way. We realize that a lot of parents have already planned with folks that may be flying in or coming in for graduation. And obviously for us to disrupt that, that could cause a lot of angst for parents who have already made plans. For our 6th grade promotions, we're going to keep them on Thursday, June 13th, 2024 for LPS and West Amwell. Obviously students still need to come to school on Friday and Monday, but we will keep them as such. Now, the only way that could change is if we have more snow. So if we have another snow day off before, we get to the warmer season, that could adjust where now we need to push, into the following week for graduation. The nice thing about keeping graduation on that Friday is if for some reason we have like a total washout, we do have a rain date possibility for Monday if we needed to do it, to Monday afternoon. So just wanted to kind of put that out there. I will be putting this out to the community tomorrow, just so everyone knows they can make plans. But again, we're probably in a window of about another 6 weeks with weather that hopefully we won't have any more snow. All right, construction update. So South Hunterdon Regional Elementary School. So as I've mentioned, and hopefully you've been following along on social media, we've made excellent progress. Everything that we've needed as far as supplies have been in on time, are there. There's a lot happening. If you've been by that school, there's a lot of people working on that site. So just a few things to kind of take into consideration. If you've been by lately, you see that our new entrance is here. So basically, you're looking at our new main entrance here, which has a secured vestibule inside. And then over here, you're actually looking at the entrance to our new library. So the exciting part about that is, and we've talked about that in the past, where if there are community events and things are happening in the evenings, folks can enter right into the library for those community events. They don't need to enter into the rest of the building. They could have those events and then exit right out of the library. And as you can see, the rest of the front, we have our main office area here, principal's office, conference room. So we're making awesome progress. If you look in, this is actually our new library. It's a part of our new addition, so you can kind of see the size of it. There's a little, kind of reading nook area in the back as well that's open, that it will have, all kinds of bookcases. So you can see drywall's up. We're getting to the point where we're ready to start painting, putting ceiling grids in and all those different things. Some of our classrooms. So again, you can see wiring, HVAC, ceiling grids in this room on the left have actually gone up. Some painting has actually started. And then eventually we'll get to the point where we'll be putting in flooring and other things and finishes along the way. This is our new main office area. You can see it's completely sheetrock, taped, ready to go. HVAC being finalized. So we're really making excellent progress. And we're really excited about the progress that we're making. So right now, like I said, completion schedule is June of 24. We're in the process of finalizing our technology that we need to order, and we're in the process of finalizing our furniture order for that building, because we'll have all brand new furniture, and we're really excited about that. So when we talk about the new middle school, so we did recently receive our construction permit, which we're really excited about. And with that, our contractor has now given us a timeline for completion. So what you'll see is the new estimated completion date is the end of March 2025, with punch list items the end of April 2025. So now that we have obviously a building permit and we're starting to work on the actual building, we now actually have a completion schedule for the building so we can plan accordingly. And just some of the biggest things that have happened in the last couple of days since we got the permit, you can see that they're starting to build along, they're starting to dig out the foundation. You can see it here as well. So you're going to see a lot more folks on site in the coming weeks, a lot of masons, a lot of concrete trucks, as they pour the foundation for this building and eventually start to build the block for this building, and a lot more action that's been happening in the last several months. So just wanted to kind of bring everybody up to speed on that. And then the last thing, so we've been spending a lot of time talking about where do we go with the South Hunterdon Regional Elementary School and South Hunterdon Regional Middle School mascots. We surveyed our students probably early January. Got about 275 responses. We surveyed all of our students, so district-wide, just to kind of get feedback. We had some awesome suggestions, but one thing that continued to rear its head, that we had a lot of discussions about as our administrative team, we had discussions at some of my recent district parent council meetings, and then we had some discussions as a board. And we came to the conclusion, based on our students' feedback, that we were going to go in a direction to purely unify our district. So moving forward, we have made the decision that our South Hunterdon Regional Elementary School Eagles and our South Hunterdon Regional Middle School Eagles, and the Eagles may be a little different, right? So what we're doing is we've reached out to some of our more talented art students. And if you were here, about a month ago at our Teen Arts Festival, it was amazing to see all the products that were there, and we got some very talented students. So I've given them the challenge to say, take a chance at designing an elementary school Eagle, and maybe it looks a little bit different than what we have for the high school Eagle, and the same thing for the middle school Eagle. I think, from, an apparel side, I know a lot of our younger students especially like to get some of the high school apparel, or they get really pumped up when they get something from the high school. And the fact that we'll all be the Eagles now could kind of be universal throughout the district. So we're really excited about that. The goal would be in the coming months that we'll bring some designs back to the kids based on what our students came up with. And then we'll do a final vote on the actual design for each building. We'll go in the middle of the gyms as far as their logos in each one of our buildings, and we're really excited about that. So thank you to all of our students who participated and came up, I have to give them credit, with some very, very creative names along the way. All right, that's my update. Do we have any questions from the board?
So you mentioned that Lambertville Academy did not meet the requirements for a preschool classroom.
Correct.
I'm just wondering if you can kind of expound on what those requirements are versus a standard classroom.
Yep, so you need to have a minimum of 700 square feet, correct? And it can't be on the third floor because of fire code and getting the little ones out of a building. Unfortunately, the only space that Lambertville Academy had that was 700 square feet was on the third floor. So that excluded them, and that's not our rule, that's the state of New Jersey rule. The other question?
I have a question about the calendar for the upcoming year.
24, 25?
24, 25, just given, you know, what's going on right now with graduation and snow days that were built into the calendar. Maybe something you want to look into.
It is on our agenda for final approval tonight. We've been kind of shifting some things around based on some input we've been getting from our teachers, like EPC group, district parent council, and the board. So I'm keeping my, you know, we've been lucky the last 2 years where we've had no snow, which has been awesome. For unfortunately this year it's been a little bit more challenging. And we were fortunate, but many school districts, and I never thought in my time, you know, when I was in school, we never had a rain day. Well, there's some districts that have had rain days, which is just mind-boggling to me. We were fortunate not to have to worry about that, but there are many area districts who did have to deal with rain days, which is something that's foreign to all of us when we were in school.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, we come to the first of 2 periods of public comment. This is open to the public. Anybody, member of the public is welcome to come up. Just let us know your name, what community you're from, and we'd like you to try to keep your remarks to about 3 minutes. You can make a statement to the board or ask a question. If we can answer it in brief time, we will. Otherwise, we may get back to you with an answer. So with that, I see Ms. Purcell is ready to speak.
Hey guys, Diana Purcell, West Amwell Township. So I wanted to take this time to officially and publicly thank Tracy Patchouli for her years of service to this Board of Education, school district, and community. I had the pleasure of serving with her for most of my time on the board, and I can say without hesitation that she was an invaluable resource who led with objectivity, great insight, and respect. She always sought to hear all perspectives and experiences, and only after that participated in making important decisions for this district. She faced adversity with grace when it was frankly very hard to do. Trust me, I know. And was personally a great sounding board and friend during our tenure together. She's also one of the most organized people that I know, which served her very well in this capacity. She's probably sliding down in her seat right now because she had no idea I was doing this, but I think she absolutely deserves the recognition because not everyone has the courage or dedication to sit in those seats. Tracy, enjoy your time just being a community member and parent, and be proud of the important accomplishments you made to our district. And while I still have 2 minutes, thought I was going to run out. I just wanted to give kudos to the preschool program. My daughter started when she was just 3, barely speaking, came out a completely different child and was so ready for kindergarten. So doing great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Hi, Jen Batchelor from West Amwell. First, I just wanted to make a quick request that if you're doing anything at all different with that West Amwell school building, that you owe this community an awful lot of transparency into what that would look like, considering the time and effort that was spent in educating the West Amwell folks about the end of useful life for that building, and not to mention the use of the funds for the sale of that building to go against the cost of the referendum. I appreciate the transparency about the pre-K program. I look at the timelines and I do have to wonder why we would jump in full bore on expanding into a new program, given that all that we are going through already with the upheaval of the grade reconfiguration and the referendum. And I'm gonna say it, our test scores. It just feels like we are biting off a little more than we can chew while we're choking on what we've already got. I really feel, again, I'm gonna say that we should be expending as much time and resources as we possibly have available to us and helping our current students that we have now show a little bit more progress there. With regards to what you talked about with the pre-K, where did these demographics, so these are questions that I would like to have answered. Where did the demographics come from and why are they so far different than what we were told during the referendum when our student population was meant to take a nosedive? And then two other questions I have real quick, if we can fit them in. With construction, I keep seeing a lot of bills lists and things that are coming in as extras. There was like rerouting a water line to avoid asbestos in the Lambertville school. And it just was wondering, what's the process there? Because it doesn't seem like it's like bids. Does the construction manager just kind of accept whatever costs that go along with that? And then lastly, not related to these topics, but I didn't want to come back up. I follow several other school districts on social media, and I noticed one thing in common that a lot of them do is that they often share job postings that are available for the district. And I've noticed that we've had some positions filled, sometimes even by local people, but I never see them shared on social media or with our local community. So I was just wondering if there any reason why we don't share our job postings and maybe if we could start doing that as well. Thank you.
Well, I'll take the job posting. I'm pretty sure we use a system called Frontline. It is tied into our social media pages and gets posted on Facebook when we post a job, but I'll research that and get back to you. You want to talk about the construction and the top different finance committee?
Sure. So in regards to the question regarding construction and additional costs, it kind of depends on the cost of the outfits. There's an allowance for different sections of the construction. So if it fits within that allowance, it doesn't have to go out to bid. But if it is something that's going to extend the contract, then it's a change order that has to be voted through.
In the demographics piece, I'll follow up with you as far as how the state used their calculation for the preschool.
Or anybody else who has something they'd like to bring to the board?
Are they getting anything other questions there?
I just answered two of them. Yeah, I said I would get back for the demographics on how they used.
What about the school?
What about what schools?
Or is it
Yeah, you can come up to the podium if you like.
Okay, then. So why don't you come up with the podium and just articulate it as a formal question? I'm not sure.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I kind of made that statement that, you know, we owed an explanation about the buildings. I don't want to have one for us tonight, so.
I don't think any decisions have been made yet, so I don't think there's an explanation to be had, but when we get to that point, that's something obviously.
I would also say, I mean, we have been very transparent. So this plan that we've been talking about, this preschool at these meetings for several years. We have been talking about, you know, this plan to have a couple of preschool classes in West Amwell for this upcoming year for the last few months at these meetings. It was publicly put out there last month.
You don't understand the point that I'm making, right? You told us that our population was declining, the building was unusable, and, you know, you guys planned for pre-K at Lambertville, and now all of a sudden we have 16 pre-K class, like, it doesn't make sense. You have to understand, we feel like we're being like, lies a little bit, right?
Okay, I understand that. I don't think that, I want to say that, and then we're going to go back to, if you have a question, and Mr. Zuzo will respond to your demographic questions in writing so that he can put all of the information out there in a clear and concise way. And we can share that with the public if you'd like. But I would say, I don't think that anybody ever said that the West Amwell School was not usable. We did so. Excuse me. Allow me to finish. No. We said, we had two choices when we went into this.
Right.
We could spend a lot of money to renovate the West Amwell School. Or we could go out for a referendum, which might be better. Well, but it would have been the lifetime of that building. Okay. So,
Yeah, we remember.
okay.
We were all there. We were, yeah, we were 80%.
Okay. Fair enough. Is there anybody else? This is well, yeah.
Hi, I'm Andrea Little, West Amwell Township. First off, it's hard to hear from, just so you all know. So if you could talk up, that'd be great. Just wanted to state, so we have been talking about preschool, or you've been talking about preschool for several years. I've heard you talk about it. I know about the Happy Time program. But when we were planning this referendum, Lambertville School was small. You know, it's a tight school. Renovations are going to be a lot better. 2 school classrooms were done for preschool, but we always knew it was going to be a growing program. And we also know that Happy Time was not going to be sustainable because you were going to want to bring it in. And now we're talking about more schools, more classrooms for these preschoolers. With the demographics, when you find out from the state, are they actually from our township or our district townships? The 90 students, because that was then should have been within what we paid to have that study done. We were talking like 50, 60 kids a grade. So there's a big substantial difference there. And I think we really need to understand that because who we paid to be doing those demographics then didn't do it according to what the state was doing. So we really need to understand that because that service was paid for. If they are within our district, there then changes a lot of different situation because then you're talking about these kids are going to stay through kindergarten, first, second grade. So what I'd like to hear from everyone as you're figuring it out to be creative and know that you're going to have to re-sort how the schools are. There's no reason for 7th and 8th grade to leave South Hunterdon if you have all these kids going in because West Amwell School is going to have to close. That was in the plan. That is what was promised. Unless you're going to not build this middle school and you're going to renovate West Amwell, then something has to be done. But we're too small of a district to be running 4 buildings. So, but I mean, I just want to see creativity on figuring it out. Like, I don't know why 4th grade can't. I'm on the board. I'm not administration. You're going to figure that out. But I just really think that we need to be looking at that. And I think that that's a big concern for a lot of citizens here. Because we want the value of these dollars for taxes going to education and our teachers and going right to our students and not facilities. Thank you.
Would you be willing to clarify the ages of the preschool program?
Yeah, preschool is ages 3 and 4.
And
Yep.
I am Joseph Wright from West Amwell Township. 56 years of living in West Amwell Township. I was born and raised here. My grandfather was mayor of West Amwell Township for 17 years. It sickens me to hear somebody say that the school that I went to is going to be closed. And then when you hear the reasons of why the school is being closed, substandard doorways, plumbing, asbestos, okay, every building has issues. But we were specifically told, and you all sold it to everybody that voted for this new school system. All right, all of you sold it to everybody else in this whole district. All right, that the school was no longer a viable place for children to go to school. All right, that's what was sold to this community. And it's now not true in my eyes because you're willing to put preschool children in a building that is substandard and not healthy. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. That is how you sold it.
Hi, Aaron Baylog, West Amwell. Had a question about curriculum. So a lot of talk about the new buildings, the renovations, all great, right? As a parent of a student, former board member, and a taxpayer, I want to see quality education continually improved over the years, right? So new buildings are fine. They aren't going to improve the quality of the education without curriculum advancing. our test scores, state, SATs, AP test scores. I don't know all of those. I'm familiar with the sciences because I'm a scientist, are disappointing at best. So I haven't come to every board meeting, but I haven't heard a lot of talk about curriculum. What are we doing to improve it? How are we going to improve the kids' education beyond the buildings and the other programs we have? I want to see continuous improvement in the curriculum. Now, I don't know that that comes to board meetings all the time or some of the community events you have, but I would like more transparency there because I think our students deserve better. Our taxes are going up because of the new buildings. Want to see their education improve. The buildings by themselves aren't going to do it. So that's all. Just would like to see more transparency on the curriculum side.
Mr. Baylog, I would, if you're interested, I would recommend Jane Ellen Lennon, who's our Director of Curriculum Instruction, set up a meeting with her and she can kind of share all the different things. We've shared some different things when we did our achievement report back in the fall, but I think she's more than welcome to sit down and answer all those questions you just asked.
Awesome. That'd be great. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, we do have one person who is commenting online.
It is Shannon Burkhead, who the South Hunterdon Regional Education Association would like families to save the date of April 11th for our annual Family Literacy Night. We will be giving away over 1,000 books, and families will have the chance to participate in lots of fun literacy activities. Please be on the lookout for more information that will be sent home soon. We look forward to seeing you there.
Seeing nobody else, anyone comment? There will be another period of public comment later in the meeting. So with that, we'll close this period of public comment. We'll move on to buildings, grounds, transportation, finance, and safety. With Megan not being here, and you might give a report.
Sure, since Megan's not here, we discussed, we presented the preliminary budget, which will go up for approval in March. We discussed that the AmeriHealth increase would be 7%. We don't have numbers yet for Delta Dental. Mr. Schuler provided updates on construction for the elementary school and middle school. Mr. Hutton provided updates on upgrades to the high school well rooms, repairs needed at the boilers. We also reviewed the lawn and landscape that is being on Thursday. In terms of other highlights, 5 contracts are for approval. Just to highlight 2 of them. One is the matrix engineering for additional site work at the middle school site, and then for the HVAC system to be installed at the elementary school site. We're also accepting 5 LEF grants this month, $70,000 plus for middle school, high school students to attend Hamilton musical, around $700 for the middle school Spanish trip, $360 for the Youth Climate Summit, a little over $2,000 for the elementary school photo zoo trip, and that'll be for students in both elementaries, and $2,500 for the Ellis Island production, which is also for students in both elementaries. A couple more highlights. An MJ arm withdrawal is being requested to cover the school construction payments. There are 4 for approval. 1 for the elementary school construction project, 2 for the middle school construction project, and 1 for the roof of the elementary school. And finally, cafeteria development for the requested proposals on the way. We are in year 5 of our food service management company contract. By New Jersey code, we have to go out for RFP after the 5th year. So we are in the process of developing that, so that we can complete that by the end of the school year as state code dictates. And there you go.
Okay. So that motion to approve items A through L. Right, thank you. Second. Second from the thank you. Any discussions on items A through L? Okay. In that case, do a roll call vote.
So Martha Jones,
Yes.
Peter Michelle,
Yes.
Brian Hughes,
Yes.
Kevin Colaresco,
Yes.
Michael Strauss,
Yes.
Ronnie Camarino,
Yes.
and Go.
Yes. Personnel.
The Personnel Committee met on February 21st. We discussed a few items. First, there are two collective bargaining agreements that will be expiring on June 30th, 2024. Those are the bus drivers and administrators. The board's negotiations team has started negotiations with administrators and will be starting negotiations with the bus drivers this week. We discussed a new job description for the human resource manager position, which will be on the agenda for approval tonight. And the board will be accepting the retirement of Susan Dumas this evening, who is a special education teacher at LPS. We will honor Susan as well as all of our other retirees at the May meeting.
Just one other thing I wanted to mention, just wanted to give a shout out to Steph Zorn. You'll see on the agenda, Steph has been with the district since 2010, worked in the main office here at the high school, but most recently over the last several years, worked supporting me in my office. So she got a great opportunity in a bigger district and has moved on. But we also have on the agenda Shannon Regan, who will be taking her place. She will be starting with us in the beginning of April after spring break, and she comes to us with experience from another school district as a human resource manager.
With that, I'm going to motion to approve item A and B. Oh, it didn't.
No, we didn't do that.
So we do want Second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on items A and B, the appointments? Any resignation? In that case, I vote.
Courtney Gina Pichetti,
Yes.
Brian Hughes,
Yes.
Kevin Boleski,
Yes.
Michael Strauss,
Yes.
Martha Dennis, Lonnie Palmerino.
Yes.
And Gary.
Yes. Curriculum and technology. Peter.
So the Curriculum and Technology Committee met on February 14th in the library. Vince provided technology updates, including his evaluation of Parent Square, which will be the new communication system between school and families, which should be replacing School Messenger. ClassLink, we plan to roll that out throughout the year, possibly into the summer, but act as an interface between the teachers and students. Regards to the buildings, the pre-K 4 building is wired, and now we're working on a power distribution plans for the 5A building. We discussed or looked over the special education manual, which was worked on by Dr. Nesmith. That walks through special education process step by step, including levels of intervention, referral services, and a glossary of terms. We discussed a theater program, potentially what we would do to move that forward. So currently there we have the one musical, and we saw part of that this evening. Some kids have approached staff saying they want to be in a play, but they don't, or they don't want to sing, or they can't sing, but they want to still be involved with theater. So we're discussing how we would build out the program. At some point, potentially have a fall and spring play, and build a curriculum from introductory level through AP courses. We discussed on-course teacher recommendations and student course selections. So teachers have been trained in how to make recommendations for the upcoming school year for students in on-course. Students have been trained or are being trained how to select courses. And then in between, with the parents and the students to review the recommendations from the staff and the teachers, and have that happen before they talk to the counselors. So we want the parents to see all options before meeting with the counselors. The goal to get it all electronic, get away from the paper-based system. Our next meeting will be March 13th.
Okay, nothing to move in curriculum technology. The policy committee.
Sure. That's fine. No, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So we looked at two policies as a first read, a policy and a regulation, actually. So just to remind everyone the way this process works, we have two reads on each one of our policies. We do use a policy service called SHRSD that makes recommendations based on changes in the law. So specifically for this first one, it was the first read for the policy and regulation for education of homeless children and youth. So the different guidelines we need to follow if unfortunately a student is found to be in a homeless situation. depending upon where they are and how we have to still service them as far as an education, provide transportation, and the different things that kind of go along with that. So that was the first policy we looked at. We also did discuss, and I don't have it on the agenda because there wasn't any formal changes, but we did just review our harassment, intimidation, and bullying policy and took a look at just terminology within the policy and how it matches up with our student code of conduct and where our code of conduct is found on our website. We just made a change to that recently to make it more accessible, but no changes to that. And then for our second read for policy, we looked at food services. So you'll see on the agenda above this second read, there's two policies to be abolished. And the reason why they're being abolished is both of those policies were put together into one, which is now called Policy 8500 Food Services. And the major components of that are one, how do we deal with free and reduced lunch applications for our students and families that are in need? How do we deal with students as far as allowing them to charge lunches, and if they're in arrears, what their lunch balance is, and how do we approach those different types of situations? And how do we communicate to parents what these processes are, especially when it comes to free and reduced lunch applications, which can be a time-consuming and difficult process. So supporting parents, especially in the beginning of the year, if they qualify, to make sure that our students are getting those services. So this is coming before the board this evening as a second read.
Okay, with that one, we need a motion to approve items A, B, and C.
So moved.
Michael, thank you. Second. Second by Martha, thank you. Any discussion on the policy? All of you do acknowledge the second read. No big deal. Please start the policy.
Can you go back to curriculum? I apologize, in terms of, I don't know, there was a comment I wanted to make.
Well, let's finish this. Good. And we- So we're talking about policies right now. Any discussion on those policies? Not let's vote.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Kevin Kowalewski,
Yes.
Michael Strauss,
Yes.
Martha Dennis,
Yes.
Tina Fischetti,
Yes.
Danny Tomarino.
Yes.
And Gavin.
Yes.
No, I just wanted to go back to the special education manual because so much work went into that. And I really wanted to, encourage folks to read it, but I know that there was a lot of work from the administrators and also from the special education parent advisory group. So I wanted to thank all the hours that were put in.
And just also, I think it's worth noting that that was a recommendation of our special education program review that was done 2 years ago for us to put together a manual. So parents are well versed, because it can be, again, a challenging and confusing process. Parents are well versed on what that looks like from A to Z as far as our special education program and services.
Okay, the school committee met February 20th. We primarily discussed Parent Square, which we've already talked about a couple of times here, but one of the things our committee has observed or wanted to make sure that we were keeping in mind when we're adding apps or programs that parents are using to access information about their kids or interact with teachers. We want to streamline that as much as possible. And Parent Square has a lot of different functions that would not only take place of things like school messenger, but also it has the options for direct text and virtual phone that would streamline communication with parents with two-way translation. And then it also has calendar and appointment message that could take the place of things like Sign Up Genius when people are using that for different events. So it really is something that makes its ease of use for teachers, also students and parents. So it's something that we were grateful to learn more about that program. We also discussed the high impact tutoring press release. That press release will be coming out relatively soon.
This week.
We've been for a while been talking about having regular press releases come out to educate the community regarding certain things that the district has been doing, high impact tutoring being one, and then we will have future press releases on the dual enrollment and the pre-K expansion. And then we talked about the school mascots and colors and the benefits of having a unified Eagle mascot and how the kids were the ones that made that suggestion. And we always want to prioritize the kids in terms of their building. So. And looks like I have one item for approval, which is the revised school calendar draft.
For next year,
For
yeah, just 24-25 district calendar.
So I'm gonna motion. I will make a motion to approve the school calendar for next year.
Second, please. Second. All right, thank you. And we've got the school calendar. Oh, there's gonna be a way for it. All.
Sorry, I just wanted, so I had a comment earlier about the school calendar. I think that it would be a good idea to build some snow days into the calendar.
We could look at it. I mean, you can reapprove it every month. Doesn't matter. So if we want to put it on our next school and community agenda and look at it again.
And we typically have at least.
We do.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we have
some
the
built in.
Friday,
It's just
you know,
we use
before
them.
Memorial Day, we have the Friday before President's Weekend.
But their vacation, they're like not floating days, right? They're like set in advance as long weekend or vacation.
Sure.
Associated with holidays.
Yeah.
I guess what I mean is just have days devoted to snow days, and then if we don't use them, we'll know that by, you know, whenever.
We can look at different
Bill
options.
says that, tells us, and
Yeah.
we can adjust accordingly.
So if we, so then we have two options, we can vote to approve the calendar and then we open next month. Or we can have the table that vote. And put the calendar. So,
Is there any concern with holding off on this?
I've been having parents ask for it. One in particular who emails me quite often, so we would just delay that a month, but
I know in the past you've distributed that with a big draft written across.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's something. we
Okay.
can just-
you know, tentative where it is, and then we can look at it again. If we need to change anything, we can do it March.
So I will make a motion to table the vote on.
okay, so you say distributed with the draft.
Yep.
Table. So we have a motion to table. We need a second for that motion. Dean will second, thank you. So all in favor of that motion? Aye. Anyone opposed? Very good. Okay, routine information items. We do need to accept the harassment, intimidation, and bullying report from last month. I will make a motion in a second for that. Martha, thank you. Second, Michael, thank you. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? I will report out that we did conduct safety and fire drills at Mansfield, West Amwell, with the high school, in accordance with state law in February and January. And with that, we are at the second period of public comment. So same rules and conditions apply. Please come up to the podium, state your name and municipality, and
Can I get up again?
Sure.
well, and I don't know how many people are speaking, but I think it's fine.
I'll make it quick.
I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity.
So the first one was about curriculum, more important than this one, but still near and dear to my heart is the softball program. And would like some, guess you can't give me reassurance, but timelines for having the new softball field put in at the high school. If we can get that graded and seeded this fall, they might be able to play on it next spring. Otherwise, you're talking about spring of 26 before they can play. So any comment on that?
The only thing I'll say, it's a little early to tell. Once we get really moving out there, you know, we have construction meetings every other week, which I meet with the contractor. We'll probably have a better idea by late in the spring, you know, May, of how things are going and what that kind of looks like.
Okay.
We can follow up. I get it.
Yeah, I know, you got bigger fish to fry with the construction project.
No, but I also, I mean, no, it's important for kids to play at home. And
Yeah, it would be nice. Related to that is the busing issue around getting the girls down to Ely and then getting the girls to their away games. Last year, there were a lot of headaches there. The girls got to games 15 minutes before game time started. My daughter kind of got pushed into pitching last year. 15 minutes isn't enough to warm up. She already has some issues with her arm, never got to warm up properly, got thrown into pitch right away. Really can't have that. And it didn't happen to the boys baseball team, but it did happen to the softball team. So hopefully this year we can remedy that, get the girls to their games at least half hour, 45 minutes before they start. They have proper time to warm up and they can hopefully perform better and have less injury potential.
Thank you.
I know, Jim, we've talked about that, but if you guys can manage that better than we did last year, that would be fantastic. Thanks.
Jessica Hardigan, West Amwell. I had a question about the high impact tutoring. I know that from past meetings when it was discussed, maybe it's more of a question for you, I don't know. But it was geared towards certain grades. Maybe next year in the future, just personally, I have a son who has a great deal of learning disabilities, and hiring tutors is incredibly expensive, and all of the testing that we've had to do is crazy expensive. If the district would consider potentially doing an audit of special education students that maybe aren't in those grades that could benefit from the high impact tutoring, just to extend it to them, because it is important, and those are the students who need it the most. I mean, I'm not saying other kids don't, but we need to gear it towards and offer it to all of the kids who need it. So that's just something to take into consideration. Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring to this?
Hi, Denise Bailog, West Amwell Township, and I just wanted to say that I do share the same sentiments with my West Amwell friends and colleagues about the concerns about West Amwell School and the fate of it and what's going on. I mean, I was attending all of the board meetings a few years back when we talked about our society in Lambertville, like shrinking as a whole. We're that of the Japanese society. I think the median age 20 years ago was in their 30s, and now we're in our 50s. So I'm curious where all these numbers are coming from as well, like expanding, the preschool and where that data does come from. And I must admit, I did not look at the school calendar for next year, but there's concerns about the snow days. A number of years ago, our in-service day was in January, and I don't know, someone had this brilliant idea. Let's give off the day after Halloween. I know Halloween. I love Halloween myself, but we moved that in-service day to November 1st. So you could kind of push it back to January again and not front load it. The kids already don't go to school enough days in November. I mean, they're barely in school. So that's something you can consider. And then the busing situation with the spring sports and, just the concerns. It's not enough time, and softball was really at a disadvantage, and then middle school sports were definitely at a disadvantage. And the team was riding the bus on the entire bus route past our house, and they would get dropped off 15 minutes before the game started. So that's just unacceptable. So if you can work something out, maybe it's pushing all the games back. I know Jem suggested, well, maybe we can start the games at 4:30, and that would be a big help. So if you could consider that, just to make sure that we have adequate busing. And I think we have a huge team now. I mean, I know the softball team has like a roster slated for 27. They're not all going to fit, and for sharing, so just make sure that you have enough bus drivers. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything you'd like to bring forward?
One of my questions I had that I was remiss to ask was, when students are in preschool, are they considered in the district within our numbers? Meaning how we calculate typically K through 12 and how many kids are schooled, like 900 kids, is that?
They're considered part of our enrollment because they are registered in the district.
So probably a couple of years ago, the motivation was to build our enrollment and be part of pre-K and get the kids in school. And we didn't obviously set up classrooms for them then, and now we're looking to do so. But does that also then mean that our choice number goes up because we're allowed to have 10% of our population based on our total student count?
No, choice students can't be involved in the preschool program.
No, but I mean, if we have 90 extra kids between third and fourth grade.
They're not based on our population. They're allocated by the state. When we originally, 10 years ago or so, when the schools were in the choice program, the state said you can have X number of seats. And And then at some point, you could ask for more, or you could ask for less. But at some point, the state capped it and said, we cannot, you know, you cannot add to what you have.
Right.
This is
Oh,
what
oh,
you
it's
have.
not a maximum of
So it doesn't
10%.
matter if our population in this district goes up to 1,500, we still get the same number of.
Right, okay. So it's not based on the percentage of total, 10%. Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to like to bring?
Hi, my name is Julia Caldwell. I'm new to West Amwell Township. I do not have any children in the school district. I have been reading a lot about the Homeless Act and educating the homeless students. Have you appointed a liaison to handle that?
Yeah,
And with the funding, do you have funding? Who's paying for it? Like, who's paying for the children to go to the school if they're homeless?
we are,
So the taxpayers.
correct.
Okay, and there's no funding set aside from any Title I or anything else?
Andrew,
There's Title I funding that comes that specifically goes towards homeless population. Absolutely.
And by the determination of the homeless, from my understanding, it's where the child resided prior to becoming homeless.
correct.
If it's a 2-week, 3-week, month thing where they get enrolled here, they're homeless for a month, 3 months, 6 months. Where do they then go? Do they stay in the district? Do they go back to the district, or do they go transfer to a different district? And are other homeless students in other districts allowed to be, is the determining, who makes the determination that they can come to this district, even if they're not a resident or prior resident?
So that, it doesn't really work that way. So the process, the way it works is, let's say we had a student who resided in our district, became homeless, and now is living in Flemington. But it's not a permanent domicile. Let's say, for example, they're living at a hotel. We would still be responsible to educate that child, transport that child until they eventually declare a permanent residency. If a child was from Flemington and all of a sudden wanted to come here and they were homeless and they were living within our community, it would be the opposite. Flemington would have to transport the child and educate the child and that is that way until eventually we have a permanent domicile that's declared for that parent. We dealt with that as well, quite honestly, when we had Hurricane Ida, where folks were displaced from our community and were in places like Flemington and Milford. And during that time, we worked with them and transported them. They stayed on our roll. We still educated them until eventually they declared a permanent domicile, either back within our community, or if it was in another community, then they would enroll in that school district.
Okay, and also with DCP&P, kids in DCP&P
Correct.
there, DCP&P can make the determination to whatever district they want to place them in if they feel it's in the child's best interest, correct?
Typically, they would be making that decision based on where they're placing the child as far as like a foster care arrangement. So not just the child living, I mean, they would have to be living with some type of guardian who lives within our school community.
If they're homeless?
If they were, you said DCP&P, I'm
Right.
thinking more like a child custody issue where a child's taken away.
Or a
Typically-
child's in the care due to lack of care from the parent?
Correct. We would, if the child, again, was part of DCP&P and was not permanently domiciled somewhere else, we would be responsible for educating that child if we were the last school that they attended.
Okay, and in concluding this, you said you had a liaison?
We do.
Who is
Dr.
the
Dr.
liaison?
Naismith, who's our Director of People Services.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring? Do we have any?
No, just the one that we already had.
With that, I will close the period of public comment for this evening. We do have a need to go into an executive session to discuss negotiations. Some other items, that will probably take about half an hour. There will be no action taken when they return. You are welcome to wait here. We are going to the room. We